Well, folks, MAGA just continues to double down on their extremism. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. They realize that Donald Trump has lost the popular vote twice. They realize he's going to lose it again. And I truly believe that they're just going to try their best to muddy the water as much as possible and then depend on the Electoral College because that's the only shot in hell that they have at this point. They sure don't have it by trying to reach out and bring anyone into the fold. They're doing nothing now but just yelling into their echo chamber. But this extremism is something that we all need to keep focused on. And that's why that I'm just sticking with the theme today, that these are the kind of stories that we have to stay focused on. And we can't let this one get away from us, folks, because we're going to be living in a world that we will never be able to escape, and we'll never be able to get back what we once had. Got another story here that I'm going to bring up to you from the Midas Touch Network. This is from Troy Matthews. JD Vance says Trump will defund Planned Parenthood. And right here is Vance. We're going to listen to him say this. This is Vance just continuing to spew this lie that we're going to talk more about here in just a minute. But he just continues to push the same lies that MAGA pushes every day because they realize that if you say something enough, it will stick.
On the question of defunding Planned Parenthood, look, I mean, our view is we don't think that taxpayers should fund late-term abortions. That has been a consistent view of the Trump campaign the first time around. It will remain a consistent view.
So these late-term abortions that he's talking about is not a real thing. They've been fact-checked over and over again, but that doesn't stop someone like Vance from just continuing to repeat it. But let's get into the article here. Donald Trump's running mate J.D. Vance announced in a press conference over the weekend that Donald Trump is still intent on defunding Planned Parenthood, a policy from his first presidential term. On the question of defunding Planned Parenthood, look, I mean, our view is we don't think taxpayers should fund late-term abortions, Vance said after Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. That has been a consistent view of the Trump campaign. The first time around, it will remain a consistent view. The Hyde Amendment already bans federal funding for abortions, but in his first term, Trump tried to amend Title X rules to state that any clinic which performs abortions or even refers patients for abortions would receive no federal funding whatsoever. According to Planned Parenthood, abortion accounts for only 3% of its services, while the nonprofit organization also provides low-cost cancer screenings, pregnancy and STI testing, contraception, and annual exams, among other comprehensive care needs. Trump's plan would defund all of Planned Parenthood services that low-income women and women without health insurance count on. And there's where Vance said that again. As usual, Vance is spinning tall tales to make his case, said Jenny Lawson, executive director of Planned Parenthood Votes PAC. Here's the truth. Federal funds cannot be used to provide abortion care at any point in pregnancy. But Planned Parenthood health centers do use federal funds to provide cancer screenings, birth control, STI testing, and treatment, and many other essential reproductive health care services. Defunding Planned Parenthood would only deepen and expand the public health crisis we're already in, thanks to Donald Trump, causing more people to suffer and die for lack of basic reproductive care, Lawson continued. Planned Parenthood is also not the only clinic that provides healthcare services in addition to abortions. Many hospitals will perform abortions, even if just on an emergency basis, if they are equipped to do so. This policy will likely cause more confusion, as we have seen in cases like Amber Thurman, resulting in an unnecessary patient death if hospitals cut out emergency abortion procedures for fear of losing their federal funding. You see, folks, this issue is way more complex than MAGA will ever realize or acknowledge, because they are very black and white people. There's no middle ground for MAGA. They just get on whatever train of thought Donald Trump tells them to get on, and they stay there, and they never entertain all the other possibilities of the issue. They just hear that he's for something or he's against something, and that's where they're at. And the guy can literally change mid-sentence, and they'll roll with it. He can literally change his position from one segment to the next, and they'll roll with it. But he's been out there forever repeating this lie about late-term abortions, that Democrats are for that. There's no Democrats that are for that. And he keeps repeating this lie. And here's an old clip of him back in 2023 talking about how that they're executing babies after birth. And folks, I promise you, he does not have any evidence to back this up. But this doesn't stop him from going out there and saying it.
Continue to stand strong against the extreme late-term abortionists in the Democrat Party who believe in abortion on demand in the 9th month of pregnancy and even executing babies after birth. They actually talk beyond birth, after birth, executing the baby. This is where we've come, and it's so sad to see.
Just one time, I would love to see that guy cornered and someone say to him, you have to provide us evidence. You can't leave until you show us the evidence as to where this has happened. Because, folks, he does not have evidence to back up that ridiculous claim. There has never, that's murder, folks. That's straight up murder. Okay, that's not happening. What happened was there were babies out there that were born that weren't going to leave the hospital because they were born with birth defects so severe that they were just going to live maybe a couple of days at the most, sometimes a couple of hours. And it was simply a question of how can we keep these children comfortable? Do you realize what a horrific thing I'm describing right there? Do you realize what that would be like to be a parent in that scenario? And imagine if you're a parent who's been in that scenario and you had to endure something that tragic. And I've known people in my lifetime that have had to endure that type of thing. And then you watch as MAGA and Donald Trump just continues to politicize this and spread this as complete and total misinformation. That's not what's happening, and he can't back it up. But they know if they go out there and just keep repeating these lies over and over again, that it sticks with their followers. And that's all they're banking on at this point, is just continuing to push the lies. And the reason why that it falls on deaf ears with their followers at the moment is because it actually hasn't affected them. They've not been sitting beside the bedside of an Amber Thurman. But one day, and I hate to say this, one day they very well could be. And they could be sitting there going, well, now, wait a minute, hold on. We need help here. I thought they just kicked it back to the States. Can't my sister have help? Can't my daughter have help? Can't my girlfriend or wife have help? And the answer is going to be no. No, because your guy that you set back and gave a pass for everything under the sun took all of this away. Well, but you mean you can't just come in and help us just a little? No, we can't come in and help you at all because he completely defunded and wiped everything out. Well, I thought he just kicked it back to the States. He did. And now here we are. Your state can't do anything to help you. And the saddest part to me is that it would have to hit them right in their gut before they would ever wake up and realize it. And then if they did, I promise you, Donald Trump would probably find a way to twist that and blame it on Democrats, and they would probably walk away going, well, the Democrats done this to us. Because they have literally tried to burn the candle at both ends on this issue, and they've tried so hard to just muddy the water and distort it by repeating the same lies over and over. That's why we have to keep bringing the receipts every time. Every time they try to bring the lies, we just keep bringing the receipts. And don't let them off the hook, because these are dangerous lies. This is not something that should ever be passed off as free speech either. I get so sick of making that argument. I get so sick of repeating myself every day and saying, listen, freedom of speech is one thing. You have a right to say whatever you want to say, but there's consequences for the things you say. And if you're out there spreading these kind of lies and misinformation, it's not doing anyone anywhere any good. And you should be held accountable when you spread that type of thing around. So we have to keep putting the work in, and we're going to have to keep putting the work in for a long time to get back on the track that we need to get on. And I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but it's going to take years, folks. This isn't something we can fix overnight, and we're never going to fix it if Donald Trump is reelected. It's going to be completely out of our reach. And again, not trying to be hyperbolic, but when you look around at your daughters and you realize, man, she doesn't have the same rights that our mothers had when they had us. When you look at that and you look at what could happen and you think about Amber Thurman, and the question just boils down to, what if that were your daughter? What if that were your wife? What would you do in that scenario? All of the excuses you could make at that point would be irrelevant, because you would have to realize that your guy and your blind eye is what led you to where you're at. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody. I truly don't. But folks, I truly appreciate you guys so much for supporting what it is that I do here on the channel. I do enjoy sitting down here every day and talking with you guys. And when I was down sick for a couple of days, I didn't know what to do with myself because I'm just so used to either getting here in this chair or going out on my back porch and talking about the issues at hand. I feel like they're important, and I feel like that now is not the time to stay quiet. I couldn't sit on the fence any longer. I was originally my plan in life was just to go out there and play music and go out and write songs and live them, write them as I live them. And that's pretty much all I would have been doing if we hadn't have hit such an extreme stride in our country. I would have just been on a bar stool somewhere with an acoustic guitar, singing some Merle Haggard tunes and working in my own as I went along. But it come to a point where I was like, I can't sit on a fence. I don't really. I feel way more. It feels way more fulfilling, I guess you could say, to sit down in this chair and play to people who are listening and who care and will share these videos and pass them along, as opposed to playing in front of a crowd of people who's talking so loud you can't hear yourself think. So I truly appreciate you guys. And if you want to, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything to do so. And if you're one of those people who misses seeing me playing the tunes out in the bars, I'm still doing it, but I'm just not doing it out there. You can catch me over on Patreon. Here lately, we've been on a kick of taking requests, and I've been playing cover tunes. We did an old Joe Maphis song yesterday, Dim Lights, Thick Smoke, and Loud, Loud Music. Felt kind of weird singing that song sober, but yeah, we've had a fun time. So if you guys want to check it out, the link is in the description of this video. But I truly appreciate you guys supporting what it is that I do. And again, we're just going to keep putting the work in and moving the conversation forward, because as Kamala says, and I'm glad that this has become a cliche because it needs to be, we're not going back.